o'clock, folks. Carl, unless you're planning on joining us, Carl. Alrighty. It is Wednesday, November 16th. It is 6 p.m. and I am calling the meeting of the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners to order. If we would all rise for the invocation, please. Heavenly Father, we are so grateful and we are so blessed to live in a country where opinions lead to peaceful transitions of power. It is a blessing that our ancestors, our veterans have all fought and some died for, and we cherish it and we thank you for it. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Bonnie.
Lathrop?
Here.
Kropa?
Here.
Wheelock?
Here.
Klaus?
Here.
Crawford? Here. Johnson?
Present.
Max Bauer?
Here. Next, we have approval of the minutes. Are there any changes, additions, deletions to the minutes of November 2nd? Hearing, seeing none, they stand approved. This is our first opportunity for public comment. Bonnie, if you would read the rules, please.
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners, which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4 Order of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson.
All right. At this time, would anyone like to make public comment? Please.
Hi, my name's Andrew Doss. I live at 333 Boardman, right across the street, and I'm here with regards to the bell issue. I would just like that, as these people have all signed a petition to, a good portion of them, dial the hours of the bell back. So it's not 24 hours a day. It's pretty disruptive to my sleep and to my work as well, because I work out of my house also. And yeah, it's pretty loud right across the street. It's pretty loud, especially, 3 in the morning, midnight, and, pretty disruptive to sleep. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make public comment?
Hi, I'm Jane Fulmer. I live at 413 Washington Street. The 24/7 ringing of the courthouse bell raises serious concern for those in our neighborhood with sleep issues. I had listened to a TED Radio Hour podcast, you can access it online, on Maslow's human needs. Sleep was designated at the top of the hierarchy of human needs on par with food, water, and shelter, but first and most fundamental was sleep. Sleep is deeply connected to every aspect of our physical and mental health. The quality of sleep affects the quality of life. Russell Foster, a circadian neuroscientist from Oxford, lists restoration as one of the key factors sleep provides, as there are genes that are only turned on during sleep, and they restore, rebuild, and replace metabolic pathways. Brain processing and memory consolidation that occur during sleep enable us to find novel solutions to complex problems, or maybe simple solutions to a simple problem. Important connections are strengthened. Also of note, insufficient sleep triggers a hunger hormone that increases carb and sugar cravings. 1 night of reduced sleep compromises the immune system by 24%. This is all coming from the Maslow podcasts. The bell ringing during sleep hours causes undue duress for many who struggle with sleep issues. This has affected us, our visitors, and our neighbors. It's difficult to think that concern for those who grapple with difficulty sleeping would have no merit. I recall having a clock that chimed in our home. It wasn't near our bedroom. It was outside our guest bedroom, and I stopped it during the nighttime hours as a courtesy. We are not opposed to the bell, welcome the restoration, but respect for the quiet hours is a logical choice. As an evolving species, sleep represents 36% of our biology, fine-tuning it to maximize efficiency. If we ignore it, it's at our own peril. This seems more important to me than someone claiming the bell is soothing. Reduced sleep makes us more prone to illness, less alert, hurts memory, compromises our immune system, affects judgment. I'd also like to weigh in. 6 or 7 hours, according to books I've been reading, is not enough for most people. 8 hours is recommended, as noted here. I don't also think social media is doing us any favors. 44% of those commenting on the Boardman Neighbor Facebook site, 44% of those commenting were by people who are hearing impaired. Limiting the hours of the bell as a courtesy to those nearby would restore goodwill, attempting to help instead of hinder the struggle faced by those with sleep issues, and allowing Maslow's theory to be honored by demonstrating basic humanity.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
My name is Jeff Knabel. I live at 410 Washington, just across the street. First off, I'd like to thank Dr. Lathrop for a party back in 1980, the reason as to why I'm here.
That was a good party, wasn't it?
It sure was. I found my way into Traverse City partly because of that. I'd also like to thank Chairwoman Max Bauer. Under your tenure, the swimming has improved in this community, which is significantly important to me. And Commissioner Wheelock, your business I've admired for a long time. Your wife and your daughter used to work in my high school classroom, and those were some of the best years of my life, teaching. The bell is an issue for me. I just live around the corner. I have many guests that come to stay with me, both from California, and more importantly, my nieces, one of whom who lives in Chicago. She has 3 small children, babies, and this summer when she was here, it was difficult for her children to sleep. And as a young mother with small children, I found that to be a tremendous inconvenience for her, and I would like for her to be welcomed in my community. And when I think about my own personal needs, I've been able to muffle the bell with fans and other ways of dealing with it, keeping our windows closed and other things. But I would ask that you would take into consideration the people that live very near this and muffle the bell. I think the hours that were proposed through Charlie, he's the one who organized many of us nearby to come to you and suggest that we hopefully can get some resolve to this. It's more just, I like to include people in our community, and I now live in the heart of the city, and I would like to have the young people that like to come to see me not have their sleep interrupted. So please take this into consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else? No, please.
Hello, Lynn Zeiger, 257 Midtown Drive, just across the river from the courthouse. Initially, I was somewhat ambivalent about the bell issue, but because my neighbors were feeling so badly about it and it was interrupting their sleep, I felt that I needed to support them. However, recently I started tracking my own sleep on my Fitbit and was shocked to discover that I wake up at very regular intervals and am losing about an hour and a half of sleep every night as a result of the bell. So I have changed my opinion now and respectfully request that you consider limiting the bell's hours. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Next on our agenda is approval of the agenda. The Board of Public Works has asked us to add a resolution regarding hunting not being permitted on county-owned property. You should have a copy of that resolution on your desk, and I will add that under New Business A. Anything else?
It's the Department of...
I'm sorry.
of Public Works?
Department of Public Works, I'm sorry. The Department of Public Works. Thank you. Anything else? All right. I would entertain a motion.
Chairman,
Yes?
woman,
Yes, ma'am.
there's just Jim Baker wanted just a notice that there was a amended resolution to be on the consent calendar,
Yes.
so.
The amended resolution is here on your desk, and it is on the consent calendar, and I will pull it from the consent calendar
Oh,
so
okay.
Jim can come up and...
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I would like a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Dr. Johnson, supported by Commissioner Kropa. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right. Consent calendar. Bonnie.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file or approval, is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. A, receive and file. Number 1, Northwestern Regional Airport Commission minutes of September 7th. Number 2, Northwestern Regional Airport Commission minutes of September 27th. Number 3, Department of Health and Human Services Board minutes, September 30th. Number 4, Road Commission report for November 16th, 2016. Number 5, County Staff Report. B, approvals. Number 1, amended apportionment report. Number 2, October 2016 claims approval. Number 3, fiscal year 2016 budget amendments. Number 4, Board of Public Works appointments.
All right. Would any commissioner like any item removed from the consent calendar?
What was the
I'm
funding
I'm
resolution?
removing item B1.
No, we added that to
We added that to
new
the
business.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Would any member of the public like any item removed from the consent calendar? Staff? All right. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent calendar with the exception of B1.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Kropa, supported by Commissioner Crawford. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right. Next on our agenda is special orders of business. Public hearing, Boardman River Restoration Brownfield Plan. Jean, would you like to speak to it before I open the public hearing?
Yes, thank you. My name is Jean Dorenzi. I'm the Director of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. And before you today for the public hearing is a brownfield plan titled the Boardman River Restoration Brownfield Plan. And what that is a plan that mirrors the Boardman River implementation team to remove the Boardman and Sabin dams and utilize $500,000 out of the Brownfield Local Site Fund for due care activities related to the removal of each of those dams. And this helps several components. The $500,000 would be utilized to replace the matching funds needed for grants that have been secured for the removal. And the matching funds have been secured by the county and the city contributing $250,000 per unit. And this grant would replace those, relieving the city and the county from having to utilize general fund dollars for this public project. And it would also help the Brownfield Authority implement the water quality components that we have done on other projects and on other projects related to the Boardman River as well, and continue that vision. Within this brownfield plan, there is no TIF component to it. It is strictly a grant to be utilized for the due care activities related to the removal of the grant or the dams. The Brownfield Authority approved this unanimously at their October 26th meeting, and the Garfield Township Board unanimously supported it, concurred with it at their meeting last evening. We would recommend that you approve it based on the criteria of helping the city and the county and the brownfield achieve the goals.
All right. At this time, I will open a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to the Brownfield plan? Seeing none, hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Next, we have approval of the Boardman River Restoration Project Brownfield Plan. Would someone like to make a motion? Commissioner Wheelock.
Madam Chairman, I would move to approve the Boardman River Restoration Project Brownfield Plan.
Is there support? Supported by Dr. Lathrop. Discussion. Commissioner Wheelock.
No, obviously I've sat here a long time, and we've talked about for years that things like the Brownfield Plan and the Housing Trust Fund best serve our community if we actually get out in front and help lead through some of these projects. The environmental cleanups, we've talked about, there's some small development small lots in our community that will never be able to be sold or developed because of the environmental contamination. The lots just don't fit. There's just, unless we can group them together with some adjacent properties, it will never happen. This is a perfect opportunity for us to make a significant environmental cleanup and water quality control and use the brownfield to help us do that. I think it's a great idea, and it's, I don't know why we didn't think about it 10 years ago when we started this discussion, because this is an ongoing discussion on the removal of these dams and the water and the silt and all of the issues that we're going to have when those dams come out. And we've never, until very recently, I don't think anyone's ever really talked about using the brownfield as a tool by which to help us accomplish that. So I commend Gene and the rest of the staff and the people that are involved in that, in making this come to fruition, because I think it's a perfect opportunity for us to use brownfield dollars for what brownfield dollars were intended to do.
Dr. Lathrop.
Boy, it couldn't come at a better time. The extra money. Just wondering, is this just a one-time thing, or could it happen again?
Currently, the Brownfield Local Site Fund has $414,000, and by 2017, it'll be $1.1 million. So there'll be about $500,000 remaining after we utilize these funds. So it's a one-time grant that we're looking at, but the revolving loan fund is really one that we look at to evolve and look at environmental conditions. And a public project is a perfect use of the Brownfield Local Site Fund, because public projects are hard to fund, particularly when there's environmental conditions surrounding those.
Thank you, Jane.
Mr. Menzel.
Madam Chair, building on Commissioner Wheelock's comments, it was Jen Dion's idea to do this, so she deserves full credit for looking at a creative way to use those resources, and so she needs to get a thumbs up for that.
I'm somehow not surprised.
Yeah.
Dr. Johnson, then Commissioner Crowe.
Yeah, I assume this project's been vetted, and it's a project that we can use the brownfield funds in
It's a good idea.
without any
Good for you.
coming back later and saying, whoop, we couldn't use it for this.
No, it's a facility status, so we have reports previously from 2002, and there's due care activities relative to each of the dams, each of the Boardman and the Sabin dams.
If the dams had failed, we could use the money to take care of that too, so this is much more.
Commissioner Kropa, you wanted to add something?
Well, it's a big surprise to everybody, including Jean, that I voted for this at the Brownfield, as I vote no on everything that has to do with the Boardman River Restoration Project. But I want to echo what Tom said. Jen has been critical in this. I took it on myself a year ago to learn everything about the Boardman Dam project and was disappointed at every turn. And it took a lot of personal time to do that. And when Jen was hired, I sort of graciously handed the reins to her, and she has done so much more than I was able to accomplish. And this was her idea, along with many other ideas. And with her at this ship, I didn't want this ship to sail. I didn't think the county and their budget issues had any business removing dams when we were cutting citizen services and employee benefits. It's ridiculous. But I lost that battle by one vote, I will mention. That ship sailed, and now that the ship is going, I feel happy about our captain. Jen is sitting in the right seat and going to all of these meetings that are amazingly complicated and very time-consuming. And the idea that it came from her made me support it. But I don't want my yes vote to be in any way confused with support of how this project was funded.
All right. Any more discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right. Next, item removed from the consent calendar, item B1. Jim?
I apologize. I'm Jim Baker. I'm Director of Equalization, and I just want to apologize for the confusion. I originally sent this up in two different motions, but because the heading was the same on each one, it appeared as if it was one motion and was written up that way. But really what we're doing tonight, first off, is we need to approve the 2016 tax rate request. And the reason we are approving it now, amending it, is because when we approved it in June, it only had our allocated and our COA on it. Now we have the senior center, the road commission, and the veteran millage. So I have filled that out, and I have applied the proper Headley rollbacks to it, and with in conversation with Jody, was told to put the maximum allowable as what we want to collect. And so what we need to do is approve that and the apportionment report, and I believe that the resolution, since it's passed at the same time and the wording was changed to do both at the same time, that's what you will accomplish when you vote on this.
All right. I will move that the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners approve the amended apportionment report and authorize completion of the required tax rate request and certification statement. Is there
support.
discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All righty. We have no departmental items. We have old unfinished business, and I am bringing this back, the historic courthouse bell.
Could
Is
we
there-
hear the recommendation from John? I think John did he do some research on this recently, or?
No.
No? Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Commissioner Coropa.
I'm going to make the motion to return the bell to a different ringing schedule as it originally was, in along accordance with the city sound ordinance, which I believe is 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. If I am mistaken and it's 6 a.m., then let's pretend I said that.
What a great motion.
What?
We didn't get out of our...
Bonnie's over there going,
true
huh?
story, the plan was to walk down the hall, but we had a board meeting from 4 to 5:30, but I went to 6, and I didn't get a chance to ask the city zoning. Okay.
10 to 7?
I was gonna be ready there. So 10 to 7, we'll turn the bell off in accordance with the city sound ordinance.
Okay. Discussion. Commissioner Crawford, then Dr. Johnson.
Where do I start? In January, when we made it 24 hours a day, I really did feel at the time that people would get used to it. And I was very wrong. And I sincerely apologize to those that have struggled with this all year. Somebody said earlier, it is our job to help, not hinder. And so in that spirit, I will support this motion wholeheartedly.
Dr. Johnson,
Just to say
then
thanks
Dr.
everyone to
Lathrop.
bring it back up. I mean, I voted against it originally. I felt like it didn't need to come to us anyway. It could have been an administrative function, but I do think 24 hours a day is excessive. I thought at one point they would get used to it, but it's clear they didn't. When you by the emails, I give them credit for the emails we get on it, and the child thing really is a biggie you don't think about. When a young one's trying to sleep, every little noise, they start jerking, and when they don't sleep, you don't sleep. So I'm glad this has come back, and I fully support that.
Dr. Lathrop.
I can see why you hate the noise of the bell. I think the only thing that could be worse is the noise of the people complaining about it. I'm just kidding. There's been a great,
There's so little humor left in the
I
world.
try to be humorous. I'm just kidding. But there's been a tremendous amount of support to bring this back. I wasn't here when that vote was made, so I've been able to escape criticism over that, and I will be supporting this motion.
All right, anyone, Commissioner Wheelock?
Well, as everyone probably remembers, I supported moving the bell to 24 hours when it was brought to us before. You know, in my mind, you know, the bell had been silenced for 8 years. Historically, prior to that, it rang 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When the group of individuals came and asked the county board for authorization to raise funds to restore the bell, and I knew the funds were raised and the bell had been restarted, I had no idea that it wasn't ringing 24 hours a day. You know, I assumed that when the bell was restored, it was ringing 24 hours a day. I had no reason to think differently than that. So, you know, when this first came up, you know, that was what I supported. I supported the concept of restoring the bell, and restoring the bell in my mind was to make it ring 24 hours a day like it rang before. You know, obviously, like everyone else, I've read literally hundreds of emails over the last few months about people that feels it's deteriorating their quality of life. We have a lot of issues on this county. Spending a whole lot of time arguing about whether a bell should ring from 11 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning doesn't come to a priority for me. So, you know, I will support this motion. I think it, you know, based on the public input that we received, there's no reason for me to fight about this.
Well, I want you to know that before I agreed to support this, which I am going to support, I went to a Networks Northwest meeting and spoke with Chris Warren, who was a major donor through the Biederman Foundation of the bell tower ringing again. And I said, "Do you care?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Okay." And with that, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
You have in front of you a resolution that says 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. I assume that you want it changed to 7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
I would like to go in accordance with the existing ordinance. That's why they're there.
Thank you.
So when there's differences of opinions, you can go by a guideline.
So it will be
7 a.m. to 10.
7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
And that's what I said, right?
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Whatever the ordinance is.
Madam Chair,
Yo.
if I may, I've got with Mr. Forsythe on this. I know this is going to aggravate some people, but I'd like to make a motion to reconsider the Intercounty District Court Operating Agreement, and I'll explain why if the motion passes.
Support.
How do we do that in the middle of the meeting?
So under your board rules, and I've explained this to Dr. Johnson, is motion to reconsider shall be in order on any question the board has decided. I'm just reading from the rule right now.
Okay.
Accept the motion to clear the floor. The motion to reconsider shall be in order on the same day as the vote to be considered was taken and the next regular meeting following. So when Dr. Johnson came to me and asked me if he could do this, I looked at the rule. The rule allows him to do it. It's in order. It can be heard at this point.
When I went to him, I was wondering if I had to put it on the agenda or could I just bring it under old business.
So this has nothing to do with somebody that voted for or against it bringing it back up?
Well, it's a motion for reconsideration. So all it does is it basically start over. Dr. Johnson's on the prevailing side, so he has the right to give it. Commissioner Wheelock, it's appropriate for him to second it. So again, it's in order.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I was on the prevailing because it was voted down on the 11 month, and then I made the motion for 6 months. I was on the losing side on that, so.
Okay. So you want to bring back the 11 month?
Which one are we bringing?
The original
intercounty agreement.
All right. I will ask for a roll call on Dr. Johnson's motion, supported by Commissioner Wheelock.
Motion to reconsider the inter-county district court agreement. Commissioner Kropa,
No.
Wheelock,
Yes.
Klaus,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lathrop,
No.
Max Bauer.
No. Motion carries. I will put that under, what? Old business
Right.
B?
Yeah.
All right. We'll hit it now. Old business B. Dr. Johnson.
All right, I will move that we approve the intercounty district court operating agreement. Start with that. Motion?
For 11 months?
Yeah. The agreement's 11 months.
Support.
Now I got to go back to all my stuff. I'll go first.
Okay.
The players were not here last time, so if it would be okay with the chair's request, if you could come up and answer the questions that I had submitted but were not answered by Judge Steptoe.
And I don't know if you want me to go first as to why I brought this back.
Well, I'm just waiting for my answers. I've been waiting for 3 weeks now for my answers from.
So you
from
would
the
like
judges.
Judge Steptoe?
I would, with your permission.
To come up and
I
answer
can't
some
vote on
questions.
something without the answers. Ms. Rogers did a lovely job last meeting.
Okay.
And I voted with the information that I had, but truly, I need the judge to answer that. He is the direct supervisor, not Ms. Rogers.
All right. Judge Stepke, if you would please come forward and answer some questions
Now,
from
because
Commissioner
I had no
Kropa.
idea this was happening, bear with me while I scroll. Actually, it's easier if I use my phone.
I'll do my best to answer the questions. Frankly, I didn't answer them because you turned down the motion last time, so I'll do my best.
Well,
But
I
I think
asked
we all
them
know
prior
this pretty well.
to the meeting. I mean, I didn't receive them prior to the meeting. You didn't answer them. And I
Well, I
needed
was-
that information to make my decision.
I wasn't able to be at the meeting last time, and then you shot it down, so I've not since looked at the questions. I think everybody knows the issue and knows the answers to the questions, but I'll do my best, so go ahead.
Now, I am missing this as I do not have the appropriate stuff, as we were not prepared by anyone that this was happening tonight. The only concern I have, the number one concern I have about this is she was going to leave not once but twice in the last year, and you never came to the County Board of Commissioners
You know
looking
what?
for extra
I'm
funds.
not going to answer that question. You breached her confidentiality. You might have broken employment laws. An employment application is confidential.
I received
and
no
this board-
application. I received no application.
Well, you disclosed it to the public, so
It
you...
was disclosed to the public at a public meeting last year.
By
Dean Bott.
you.
No, not by me. I learned of Ms. Stocking's application at a county board meeting last year.
Well, then, okay, you
So then
you
this
persisted
year,
then, you persisted in, keeping that issue before the public, so...
when have you heard me bring it up before last meeting?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't mean you, but directly, I don't know. I wasn't
You
here,
never have.
I wasn't here last time because I couldn't be here.
I breached
Yeah,
your
I heard it was
confidentiality.
discussed at the last meeting.
Okay. What I'm asking is, as a department head, your concerns...
I'm not a department head.
I
That's what
believe
you
you're
don't get. The court is not a department, okay? The court is a separate branch of government.
Are you her
When
direct
are you going to
supervisor?
understand that? What?
Your Honor, are you her direct supervisor?
Yes, but I'm not a
If she has an
department.
issue or is
I'm
going to
not-
be absent, she goes
Yes,
to
but
you.
we are not a department, and I'm not a department head. We are a court. We're separated by the Constitution from you.
You perform
and
the
the county.
duties that what a department head would in the county, you perform as her direct supervisor. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
So I apologize for my misuse of that term, as normally and typically we deal with policy concerning county departments and department
It would be your misunderstanding, not your misuse, but
And I
yeah, go ahead.
understand that you are her direct supervisor. I understood that she applied to be the county HR director 2 times in the last year, or had expressed her interest in becoming the county HR director. And I was curious as to what your plan was to replace her then. It was just an honest, simple question I was looking for an answer to, because perhaps I could vote for this knowing that you had a plan in place. But I have heard of no plan, and I have tried on multiple occasions in multiple venues just to get an answer to, had she been hired by the county at that point to be the HR director, would our district court have fallen apart? I don't think so. And so therefore you had a plan, somebody that knows her job, can understand her job. Can you tell me that there's somebody now that could know her job and understand her job?
No, that's why we need 11 months to find someone who can handle the job and train that person.
Were you aware that she applied to be the county HR director?
I was aware that she applied once, yes, but not twice.
Did you have concern for your court and the way that it would function in her absence had she received that job?
Well, as I recall, it's been a year or so, but I think she took herself out of consideration for that position, I believe, and maybe Carol can help me, rather quickly after she applied, so we never really got to that point. But in terms of a transition plan, we don't have, the basic answer is we don't have the luxury of a deputy court administrator like the circuit court had in Julie Ahrens. So we don't have anyone that we can train, groom, and bring into Carol's position. We don't have the luxury of Ms. DeHaan, as Mr. Menzel has, to bring into his position if that's the plan. But we don't have someone that's second in command to Carol that can be groomed for the position. We've never had that. We've always operated in a very lean fashion. We feel we've saved the county money in various ways, and we've submitted it to you in writing over a year ago, but that's really the answer. We haven't had anyone in a position to groom for her position. We haven't.
So had she received a job or had an incident or a family emergency and had to leave, our court, under your management, would have had significant internal issues.
Yeah, we would have, but
Okay.
thankfully it didn't.
That was all I was looking for in those questions.
But that was her choice to apply. So, and then, like I said, I believe she rather quickly after applying, correct me if I'm wrong.
She did not make it to the second round of the interviews, according to my understanding, which I had wanted to verify with her. And then about 8 months later, sent an email with interest again in applying for the job, because as you know, we were without a county HR director for over a year. So there was 2 actual rounds of this, and she had expressed interest in both. But I have never seen her application, nor would I ever share that publicly. I am aware of it. We go through a lot of appointments at this board, and I'm aware of the process. There's a box you check off for confidentiality. But I have never seen hers, nor has anybody at the county ever released that from HR to any of us on the board that I'm aware of.
Dr. Johnson and then Dr. Latham.
Yeah, I mean, I apologize for blindsiding everybody on this, but and I think all of you kind of know me pretty well. After our vote, I really had some issues and concerns about how it went down and what I knew of what they do. So I went to them, I was not pressured by any means. I went to them to go see what's going on. And I was actually going to see what we could do about getting a 6-month resolution. I really felt like they needed something in there. We do not have anything in the works as far as succession planning or whatnot. So I went to them to talk to them about it. The fact that they have this agreement already with 2 counties, to me adds a little more weight. One of the other issues, and I can't shake this, is if another department came to us with this same thing, if John Sykes said, I'm leaving, but here's my plan on helping the county out, we would overwhelmingly vote for this. I really think I think this has gotten confrontational, and any motion they've ever brought to us, we have approved overwhelmingly. We've all said they've done a wonderful job. Does this help Carol Stocking out? Yes. It helps the court also. Again, I'd prefer 6 months. I'll settle for 11. And I also do not believe that this goes against my goal here of financial sustainability. I mean, I'm still not backing down off of what we have to have for health care and for pension and everything else. I know Carol and I have talked many times and we agree to disagree on some of those things. So that's kind of the reason I brought it up. The other thing is, and it was brought up during our interviews, we don't micromanage these departments. You know, we give them a budget, we let them do. I would love for them to have somebody there that she's training for that period of time, but I don't know if they're going to have that luxury with the budget. But again, what didn't sit well with me was the tone we had, and I was caught up in it too, and also the fact that we're kind of trying to tell the courts what to do, and like Judge Phillips kind of told me, you know, it's not your role, and it's not. So that's why I brought it up. I struggled a lot with this. This wasn't easy for me to bring it up again, but I really think it's something we need to review because we've had a good relationship with them, and I think we need to continue that. We've got a lot of other battles to fight that we're going to be fighting tooth and nail with, and I don't see this in my eyes as me caving in whatsoever, because I still stand steadfast to our administrator, to their team, and then to whatever other cuts and whatever we have to do. So.
Dr. Lathrop.
Judge, thank you for coming, and thank you for your tone tonight. I have two concerns. One is, my biggest concern was, in giving her this special privilege, I know that you need it, but we have other county employees, 500 of them. How do we justify making this exception for her and not the others?
Well, as I understand it, Carol is one of only 12, is it? 11 that are really in this position. So it's not as if, the balance of the county employees could or would do or make the same request. But the district court plays a very vital role in lots of different matters, particularly public safety. That's huge, and in the civil arena, giving civil litigants a fair forum to have their disputes heard. But I'm sorry, what was the rest of your question?
Well, basically, why my concern was giving special consideration to one employee, and how do we justify that?
Well, I guess you could characterize it as special, but it's really more necessary than anything, because again, her job is extremely complex, and not just anyone can do it. Frankly, probably the best opportunity that we have in terms of finding someone to replace Carol would be another court administrator. That would be the best candidate from another area in Michigan, perhaps downstate, who already has, the skills necessary as a court administrator. But that's what we would like to have, and it will take time to find somebody like that, because I'm quite sure those folks have, and I think we've done some exploration on this, but a court administrator, and I'll use downstate as an example, it could be from somewhere else in Michigan, but they likely have families that maybe they cannot be uprooted, so and children that shouldn't be taken out of school to move up here. There may be lots of personal reasons that another court administrator would not be able to leave that position to come up here, or not a lot would. So I think it would take time to find someone who would either be able to move up here and train for the position, or perhaps someone, I'll use downstate again, would be interested and would like the position but needs time downstate to get things ironed out in their position, get their family situated, spouse situated, et cetera, to make the move up here. And then we would have to train that person, in a specific manner, specific to the way we run our court. So really, to answer the question, it's really necessary. It would be very difficult to bring someone in who does not have any experience in the court system or any experience as a court administrator. So I hope I'm able to adequately, describe the type of candidate that's really necessary to be able to fulfill this position, because it's so multifaceted that not just anybody can do it. So it takes a specialized, individual to fulfill this position. So that's really why we
Thank
need
you.
the 11 months, and it's really a necessity.
Thank you.
Sure.
My second question is, are there any assurances that this 11 months will do it? Or would you be coming back for another 11 months later on?
Well, that I can't answer, primarily for the reason or the facts I just gave, yeah. But we'll take